Dear children, good morning to all of you. Today we will have a lesson. The title of the lesson is Packing, written by Jerome K. Jerome. So this is uh, the seventh lesson from your textbook after the midterm examination. Right? I hope all of you could do well in the midterm examination, and result is on the way. Now let us continue learning the lesson Packing, written by Jerome K. Jerome. So Jerome K. Jerome is an Jerome K. Jerome is a English writer. Okay, Jerome, actually his full name is Jerome Klepka Jerome, was an English writer and humorist, best known for the comic travelogue Three Men in a Boat. I think some of you may have read it. It is available in the school library as well. Other works include the essay collections Idle Thoughts of an Idle Fellow and Second Thoughts of an Idle Fellow, Three Men on the Bummel, a sequel to Three Men in a Boat, and several other novels. So thanks to Wikipedia for his image and detail. Born on 2nd May 1859 in the United Kingdom, died 14 June 1927, again in United Kingdom. Full name is Jerome Klepka Jerome, spouse Georgina Elizabeth Henrietta Stanley, marriage. Okay. So children, now let us learn about the lesson. It is very interesting, and it's already declared that the lesson is taken from Three Men in a Boat. That is a novel, a travelogue written by Jerome, and the lesson Packing. Before we read, this is a real text. Okay, this is downloaded from NCERT. Do you like going on trips? What kind of trips do you enjoy most? How do you feel about having to pack for a trip? Have you ever discovered on a trip that you have forgotten to pack a few things you may very much need, or that you can't find them easily? Does this make you angry, or does it make you laugh at yourself? Now read this description of how the author and his friends pack. So children, this excerpt tells us about three gentlemen getting ready for a trip. Okay, a picnic, for example, you can tell a picnic. Okay, how many of you have had this experience of going for a trip? Okay, many of you may have that experience. And before we go, what we do, that we pack the things. For example, dresses are to be carried. Okay, sometimes you have to carry your small bedding items. Okay, or sometimes you have to carry your food as well if you are not going to a hotel. So like that way, we have to pack many things in order to go for a trip. Okay, so let us see how author and two of his friends make a packing, and you will enjoy the lesson, because there are many humorous scenes. Okay, so shall we begin now? Yeah. So who are the three people? I once again repeat: Jerome K. Jerome, that is author, and his friend Harris and George. Don't forget, three names are there: George, Harris, and author. Author is the narrator of the lesson. That is why I stands for Jerome K. Jerome. I said I would pack. So who is I here? Jerome K. Jerome. Jerome K. Jerome said that he would pack. I rather pride myself on my packing. Packing is one of those many things that I feel I know more about than any other person living. It surprises me myself sometimes how many such things there are. I impressed the fact upon George and Harris and told them that they had better leave the whole matter entirely to me. They fell into the suggestion with a readiness that had something uncanny about it. George spread himself over the easy chair and Harris cocked his legs on the table. Dear children, the first paragraph tells us about the readiness of the author about packing. And actually author offered his friends that he would pack with an intention that his friends would deny it. Okay, but for his surprise, who agreed? His friends agreed. Both George and Harris immediately agreed. That's what fell into the suggestion. What was the suggestion? That the author would pack the thing. And who agreed? George and Harris. That is what the first paragraph is about. Okay, I don't think any difficult word is there. Okay, now next paragraph. This was hardly what I intended. What I had meant, of course, was that I should boast the job and that Harris and George should potter about under my directions. I pushing them aside every now and then with, "Oh, you, here, let me do it." There you are, simple enough, really teaching them. As you might say, they're taking it in the way they did irritated me. There is nothing does irritate me more than seeing other people sitting about doing nothing when I am working. So the second paragraph is about how his friends reacted and what he really intended. Intended means aimed, okay, or what he planned or intended, what he aimed at. Actually, what was his aim? That he would boss the job. What do you mean by boss? Boss means to superintend. Okay, you know, boss in a company or an institution will give command to his subordinates, okay, his employees. So boss, the work means to superintend. And what do you mean by potter about? Do some unimportant thing, potter about. Okay, so here author really did not want to pack. He just wanted to superintend the work, means to boss the work or to supervise the work, and his friends would do the work and he would give some suggestion. Hey, this is not like this way you have to do, or it is very simple, like that he would be instructing his friends. But what actually happened? His friends readily accepted that the author could pack. And there is a question for you children. What that irritated the author the most? Actually, he did not like others sitting idle or not doing any work when he was working. So here Harris and George were sitting on the sofa, and that irritated the author or the narrator or Jerome K. Jerome. Okay, now third paragraph. I lived with a man once who used to make me mad that way. He would loll on the sofa and watch me doing things by the hour together. He said it did him real good to look on at me messing about. Now I am not like that. I can't sit still and see another man slaving and working. I want to get up and superintend and walk around with my hands in my pocket and tell them what to do. It is my energetic nature. I can't help it. So author is telling us about his bad experience, that there was a person that he would sit idle and would look at what the author used to do. So that really irritated him. So messing about. What is messing about? Confusing about. Now his intention is others should be working and he will be bossing the work. So the word here is superintend, means to boss and to walk around with his hands in his pocket and telling them what they should do. it is his energetic nature. So what is his energetic nature? Supervising the work, or superintending the work, or to boss the work. Okay, clear? Now the next paragraph. However, I did not say anything but started the packing. It seemed a longer job than I had thought it was going to be, but I got the bag finished at last, and I sat on it and strapped it. Ain't you going to put the boots in? Said Harris, and I looked round and found I had forgotten them. That is just like Harris. He couldn't have said a word until I had got the bag shut and strapped, of course, and George laughed, one of those irritating, senseless laughs of his. They do make me so wild. So what made the author so wild? Dear children, what made the author so wild? And George and Harris interpretation. For example, George asked immediately after author finished packing. Immediately Harris asked, "Aren't you going to put the boots in?" He asked one question. What is the question? Whether author was not going to put the boots in. Actually, he had forgotten it, and he searched for it, and finally he could get it. And by then, George made a senseless laugh. Here George is as if insulting the author. He laughed, and that really irritated the author and made him so wild. Okay, clear? So who packed it finally at last? Author packed the thing. What did he forget to keep? Boots. Who reminded it? Harris. Who made a senseless laugh? George. Paragraph number 5. I opened the bag and packed the boots in, and then just as I was going to close it, a horrible idea occurred to me. Had I packed my toothbrush? I don't know how it is, but I never do know whether I have packed my toothbrush. My toothbrush is a thing that haunts me when I am traveling and makes my life a misery. I dream that I haven't packed it and wake up in a cold perspiration and get out of bed and hunt for it. And in the morning I pack it before I have used it and have to unpack again to get it. And it is always the last thing I turn out of the bag, and then I repack and forget it and have to rush upstairs for it at the last moment and carry it to the railway station wrapped up in my pocket handkerchief. So dear children, the next paragraph tells us about author's forgetfulness in respect of packing his toothbrush while packing. So this time again he forgot to pack his toothbrush, and that was haunting him every time, troubling him every time. What was that haunt him every time? Whether he packed his toothbrush or not. Many a time he had to pack and to repack, and sometime after forgetting he would go to the upstairs to get it back. And nowadays he had a new style. What is the new style? Wrapping the toothbrush and keeping it in his pocket along with the handkerchief. Okay, that is the new style. So this time again he forgot. What did he forget to do? He forgot to pack his toothbrush. So dear children, this kind of experience would be there with you as well, and as and when you wanted to go somewhere, there are chances that you may forget to pack some important thing. Here in the case of the author, what is that troubled him a lot? His toothbrush. He would forget about it sometime, and nowadays he would pack it in a handkerchief and would put into the pocket directly so that he will never forget it. So any such difficult occurred means happened. You see the spelling of occurred. Okay, all of you look at the spelling of occurred. Many children commit mistake with the spelling occurred. OCCURRED. Many a time children write only single R, whereas two R's are required. Okay, is it clear? So dear children, now let us, what is haunt? Troubles. Repeatedly giving trouble is haunts. So what is that troubled him while packing? his toothbrush. Okay, nowadays he would keep it in wrapping it and keeping in the pocket. Okay, so dear children, now we will make a recap or review of what we have already discussed for the day. Dear children, the chapter is all about packing. Three friends, author, his friends Harris and George, they were all ready for a trip and wanted to make their packing. And first of all, author offered that he would pack, thinking that his friends would deny, but for his surprise, immediately both of them fell into the suggestion. And there was no other go for the author than packing. So when he started packing, he saw George and Harris sitting on the easy chair around the table, okay, doing nothing. That irritated him a lot. Actually, he wanted his friends to do the work and he would superintend it. Means he would boss the work, moving around with his hands in his pocket and telling them what to do. But anyway, he continued his packing and finally finished it. That time Harris asked one funny question, whether he packed his boots in. For that he said no, and he could find it. Okay, then by then George made a senseless or irritating laugh that made the author to be so wild. Okay, then he opened the bag and packed the boots in, and after finishing again, there was a sudden idea whether he had packed his toothbrush. Okay, and that really troubled him, haunted him, and these days he would pack his toothbrush in a handkerchief and would put in his pocket. Dear children, today we will stop here and we will continue with the lesson tomorrow. Till then, have a nice day ahead. Thank you very much. Make a thorough reading at home, both loud and silent reading. Thank you children, thank you very much.